and renewal for all of us. We begin with our first case presentation. It will be by Dr. Dhiraj sir.
I hope the presentation works. So anyways, good morning everyone. Good morning sir. Good morning. Wishing Dr. Hahnemann very, very happy birthday. Wishing you all best wishes for the World Homeopathy Day. Whatever we say about Dr. Hahnemann is less. I think we all know what a great person or a great personality this man was. And I just read somewhere a very wise man said that there are a lot of people who follow homeopathy, but followers of Dr. Hahnemann can be counted on the tips of your fingers. A very, very a very, very interesting statement that there are many people who follow homeopathy, but followers of Hahnemann, Dr. Hahnemann, can be counted on the tip of your fingers. And we are so proud and lucky that we are carrying forward this legacy. Whatever Dr. Hahnemann has taught us in aphorisms, in his lectures, we are very, very proud of it. And the only, either not say branch or rather a continuation of his teachings, predictive homeopathy, which is following the Hahnemann principles to the core. So we people are very lucky sitting here. And another thing I just remembered is this looks like a deja vu sort of a feeling, because I think in 2009 or 2008 there was a similar program in one of the biggest hospitals of Mumbai, that was Bombay Hospital, right, where we had a case presentation. Case presentation means all the homeopaths, predictive homeopaths, were asked to get their cases, and there was a competition, 2 days competition, right, sir? And we had a ball seeing those beautiful cases. I still remember Vijay sir showing a case of tricuspid valve. I think the patient had 2 valves. The bicuspid is 2 and tricuspid is 3. So the patient was having two valves on the 3 side were 2. And I think he gave a remedy as sulfur. And magically after the follow-up, the 3rd valve opened up. And we were all zapped. कि हमने तो sulfur से valve को generate कर दिया. But sir says, this is anatomy, this is nature. You cannot go against nature. So this valve was already there, but because of probably, what do we say, elastin excess, it was not opened up. With the sulfur, we just opened up the valve and the patient, I think Sunanda Ben's husband, I'm not sure. Rajput, Komal Rajput. And one more case of Sunanda Ben's husband, his eye was red, cellulitis. So it's a deja vu feeling where, again, this time we are not on the audience side, but we are on the presentation side. And one more trivia, I don't know, sir, if remembers or not. Today we are celebrating the 15 years of our Mumbai camp. It was in 11th April 2009, on the occasion of Hahnemann Day, where we started our Mumbai camp, taking a cue from the Mahabaleshwar camp. Coincidentally, that was 10th of April, sir, because our camps are held on Thursday. So the date again tomorrow is 11th April. So the first camp of Mumbai in Ramabai Thakre, Ghatkopar, was on Hahnemann Day. Huh? So without any delays, चल रहा है ना भाई PPT? इसमें है ना? Disk. Abscess होएगा देख इस पे. So बैठे बैठे आप करें, करना है जो काम, शुरू करें मैराथन लेके डॉक्टर हैनेमैन का नाम. Very very simple case, a very very short. पीछे पीछे पीछे. ऐसा मेरे. A very very simple case, a very very short case. The background of this case, I just wanted to tell you that I did not see the patient at all. This whole consultation was done on phone, and this patient was referred to me by a homeopath who had already taken medicine from a predictive homeopath. So this is a case of Mrs. M. She's 66 years, female. She consulted us on call on 12th of December. The presenting, I hope everybody is able to see. The presenting complaints was constant nausea and vomiting since 7th November after taking antibiotics, anorexia since 2 months, sleeplessness since 4 to 5 days. There was abscess on the buttock on the right side. They got it operated on 7th of December, but again it reopened and relapsed again after 2 days. Presenting complaint was there was low awareness, there was weakness plus. She was only crying and crying. Swelling was both legs, ankles since 2 days. There was swelling in the wrist and the lower eyelids. And the whole history was narrated by the daughter. And she says that constantly, whenever she is lying down, she's just ranting. Ranting means she's just continuous saying कि मेरा, मेरा property ले लिया, मुझे property नहीं मिला, हमने सेवा की और हमको कुछ नहीं दिया. I have not been given my property. I have done so much for everybody. Whatever I wanted, I did not get. धोखा दिया है, I have been cheated. झूठ बोला है, I have been lied. तुम हमारी बेटी की शादी कर दो, प्रॉपर्टी हम तुम्हारे नाम कर देंगे. This was these 3 or 4 words the daughter said. She was continuously blabbering. Past history, the history of pleural effusion in 2021. Diabetes mellitus since 8 to 9 years. Hypertension, and she developed COVID. In that COVID period, she was diagnosed with hydrothorax. Generals was appetite anorexia, prefers warm food, does not feel hungry, thirstless, right-sided, constipation, chilly, sleeplessness, speed was fast. She had a very peculiar dream. I have translated it in English here. In Hindi she said, जेठ की death हुई है, वो मेरे पीछे पड़े हुए हैं, इसलिए हम उठ नहीं पा रहे हैं. She is getting dreams of brother-in-law who is dead and he is not leaving me, I cannot get up. Another dream she says is, मेरे चारों तरफ ladies बैठी हुई हैं, मुझे डर लग रहा है, वो मुझे ले ना जाए. I can see 4 ladies surrounding me and they have come to take me. Where they have come to take her, she is clueless. So that was the background. This was the background that the patient's daughter gave us, but on call, when we were taking the case on the call, this was a present state. Constantly talking, whoever comes in the house to meet her or see her, she starts this rant of how she has suffered. That is the property issue. Second was their abscess on the buttock. Sleeplessness, she had not slept for nights. There was intermittent waking. There was anorexia. There was constant nausea and vomiting. In 6th of Feb, sonography, hepatomegaly, contracted gallbladder with cholecystitis. Sorry, this is atopic uterus. Random blood sugar was 227. 11th of February, her hemoglobin was 9.9. WBC was 11,000. RBC was 3.36 and Vidal was positive. She was also suffering from typhoid in February. November, hemoglobin went to 8.5. WBC went on 15,700. Random blood sugar was 274. And on the day of consult, her hemoglobin was 7.1. WBC was 36,400. Leukocytosis, create was 3.1. Blood urea was 8.1. 8.3.1. These were the reports. As you can see, create was 3.1. Urea was 83. Hemoglobin was 7.1. And WBC was 36,400. I hope you can see the abscess. Is it visible? Sure. This was the condition of the abscess at the time of history. So what exactly had happened is, I'll take you to the timeline exactly. This complaint actually started somewhere in November, the first week of November. She developed some fever with chills. For that fever with chills, she was taking some medicines, but unfortunately the medicines were not working. The fever went on increasing, and they had to admit her into the hospital. And in the hospital, everybody knows what they do to the patient, so they started all different types of medications to control the fever, and they gave her an injection probably, and that injection could not, did not materialize, and then slowly and gradually it went on creating an abscess. So this was the physical journey, what the patient was exhibiting. But what was the mental condition here? So mental condition was, they have a family. They have a family of 3 brothers. She is the youngest. So they had a property dispute amongst them. The middle, the father had given a major chunk of property to the middle son. And middle son had promised that to the youngest child that I want my daughter to get married. So if you help me financially in getting my daughter married, whatever property I have, I will transfer in your name, or I will give the property to in your name. Somewhere in August, September, they got the daughter married, and unfortunately, somewhere in last week of October and first week of November, the brother-in-law died. They went to the funeral. After coming from the funeral, when they were discussing about the property issue, the patient came to know that the brother-in-law has in fact not given any share of property to anyone, but he has given the entire property to the elder brother. I hope you are getting me, because the timeline is a bit messy, so I made it completely short for you. So the reaction to her was that intense anger. There's a lot of anger, and she was constantly saying that ki mera property le liya hai, I have been not been given anything. It was, I deserved it, I wanted it, but I did not get it. And this was the this was the site of the this was the site of the disease. You call it as an abscess, you call it as an ulcer, right? So how do we correlate it now as a mental and a physical condition? How do we correlate? How are we going to correlate this? This was the cause. Okay. So we'll come to the remedy, but on phone, I just told her to take this dose, a single dose, and next day, immediately next day, the dose was given on 13/12, and on 14th December 22 on call, the first thing that the daughter said, sir, thank you so much, that for the first time in so many months, she has slept very, very calmly. Number 1. Number 2, the blabbering of the property not given has reduced. She felt hungry, she had her food. She wants protection now. Protection means initially she did not want anybody close to her. Now she is asking for people to come and meet her, to come and ask her about her health, to talk to her. There was no nausea and there was no vomiting. So I'll just show you the follow-up, and I hope you can appreciate. This was in 14 December, and after 2 days of medicine, I hope you can appreciate. This is actually a 3D. It's quite deep. If your money is lost, it's lost. You will not find it inside. So this is like it is coming up, and you can notice the thickness again. See, this was there is a less fibrous tissue, and you can find more fibrous or collagenous tissue here. This was again, it went from 28th December, 22nd December, 24th December, 27th and 30th. Are you appreciating? This is the Hering's law, has to be followed. It has to come from below upwards. The muscles have to increase, and it has to go from periphery to center. It's a rule. All the skin lesions are supposed to be healed from periphery to center. With the good granulation tissue, you can see the pinkish tissues here. So not just merely getting a white tissue is not sufficient. We have to also find a granulation tissue also. So if the pink tissues are coming on the edges, we generally are on the right track. This was in January. It has now, see, this is irregular now. Now it is getting a little bit finer in shape. This was in Jan, 15 Jan 20. Again, it's reducing the pinkish edges, thickness of the skin on the periphery. So from syphilis, the destructive miasm, it is now coming into sauropsychotic phase. This was the 4th of February. Last was 22nd. Unfortunately, I don't have the last picture, but this completely got healed up. This was with a single dose of medicine. We have not repeated the dose, single dose. It was given a single dose. On 12th of Feb, hemoglobin was 7.1, WBC was 36,400. After 15 days, hemoglobin rose up and WBC drastically went down. So from a psychosyphilitic inflammation, it has now come down to a probably psychotic or a, still the hemoglobin count is, so hemoglobin count, don't expect hemoglobin count to increase by 2-3 points in 15 days time. It is going to gradually increase. Of course, the WBC component should go down, because we all know WBC component has to do more with the fighting abilities. So the WBC count going down indicates that the body's turmoil or the body's resistance or the immunity is increasing. So we should focus, especially in inflammatory conditions, we should focus on this WBC values always. This was the ultrasound. Surprisingly, she did it on 6th of Feb. everything has turned out to be normal, because my approach of case was a different. I was expecting that this is probably a state remedy, and after that I will have to repeat a constitutional remedy. But this remedy completely cured the old chronic problem also. So this is the wonders and magic of homeopathy. You never know what can what can turn up. So it is like Sir always says, we have to have a marker or a pointer with us. You have to keep on gauging every time a patient comes with a different follow-up, and we have to find our way out. So luckily they did a test and everything was coming back to normal. So how do we approach this case? We'll take help of Hahnemann sir's organons aphorisms. Number 14, a very, very important aphorism. There is in the interior of man nothing morbid that is curable, and no invisible morbid alteration that is curable, which does not make itself known to the accurately observing physician by means of morbid signs and symptoms, and arrangement in perfect conformity with the infinite goodness of the all-wise preserver of human life. Of course, everybody knows that in the first part of organon, Dr. Hahnemann is preparing you. In the first, I think in our colleges we have been taught first 72 aphorisms, first year mein, uske baad second, third year mein. So in the first year he is preparing you, train your mind, These are the basic core concepts of organon. Once you understand these core concepts, then in the next aphorism, from the 70th, 71, 72 aphorism, he goes into details where he discusses about case taking, different types of cases, what are the approaches to the cases, how the diseases progress, and what treatment or how you are supposed to ascertain or use methods to cure those diseases. So in F14 he says there is nothing morbid. So he's indirectly either taking a sarcasm on us or what, that an accurately observing physician will never miss any important signs and symptoms, which is nothing, which is not curable. That is curable, which does not make itself known. So body is telling you everything. We should have the right senses and right intelligence to capture it. Aphorism 82. Then he goes into the 70 aphorisms later than 70, where he talks about acute diseases and chronic diseases. In fact, the very first mention of syphilis. The very first mention of syphilis he mentions in aphorism number 79. We have been focusing on syphilis, right? But Hahnemann himself, Dr. Hahnemann himself, has mentioned the first aphorism of syphilis in aphorism 79, where he says, "Hitherto syphilis is the only chronic disease. If left untreated, it results in death. It results in death." So that is what we have been. In present times, we have been focusing more on the syphilitic aspect. We are trying to find out what is the syphilitic aspect. In aphorism 82, he says, for the clear indication, is able to. So we have to understand what is the disease here. What is the disease here? Aphorism 3. What is to be cured in a disease? What are we curing here? We are curing the ulcer, but we are curing the man in disease. The reason, the cause, what has happened to the patient that has led to this condition. What is the miasm here? What will be the miasm here? Syphilis. Why syphilis? Because of course the physical part is destruction, there is necrosis, so the mind also has to be in syphilis. So in aphorism 82 he says, he gives a very, very simple guideline that this medicine here, for settling the indication of each chronic disease he is called on to cure, the duty of a careful apprehension of its ascertainable symptoms and characteristics is as dispensable for the homeopathic physician. Only that in these investigations some difference is to be made when the affection is an acute and rapidly developed disease and when it is a chronic one. So he distinguishes two diseases. One is an acute diseases and one is chronic diseases. He gives a special emphasis in acute diseases where he says that in acute diseases the chief symptoms strike us and become evident to the senses more quickly, and hence much less time is required for tracing the picture of the disease, and much fewer questions are required to be asked, as almost everything is self-evident. So in this case everything was self-evident, but what was so self-evident here? So how do we approach this case? Can anybody have a fair idea how do we approach, or what rubrics or what mental picture are we supposed to take here? It's very, very simple. Cause, find out the cause and find out the effect or the reaction of the patient. What is the syphilitic aspect here? Two aspects. What are two aspects? Number one, continuous blabbering, property le liya. And second is dreams. Dreams of dead, dreams of people coming up. So out of these two, which symptom should we give more importance to? Why not dreams? Yes, it is a dreams is a subconscious. So try avoiding entering to a subconscious mind. It's better to take a conscious mind and alert mind. That will give you more good, easy syphilitic symptoms. So my understanding of this case was throughout the history, Imagine you yourself are ill. All of you, anybody of you is ill. What is your first reaction? What will be your first reaction? If you're ill, what will be your first reaction? You'll start complaining. You'll be anxious. You'll be sad. You'll be melancholic. You'll ask for consolation. You did not like to be disturbed. There was none of these characteristics in her. Since the time she was admitted in the hospital to the time we consulted on the phone, there was no iota of anxiety in her. So if there is no anxiety in her means what? Sora is gone. So if Sora is gone, that means it goes into either psychosis or syphilis. Psychosis is ruled out because, as you know, the pathology is, there is no accumulation, there is no assimilation. It is directly going into destruction. So I need a symptom that should get converted. I have to convert either a soric symptom or a sorosyphilitic symptom. So now it becomes very easy. How do we approach this? There is no anxiety here. Anxiety kab aayegi? When you are concerned about yourself. When you have love, I think Sir says, Sora is love for life. Prafull sir, psychosis is lust for life. When you are lusting for life. And syphilis is when there is no love for life. So she is not anxious here. That means what? Probably she is not concerned about her own life. She is not concerned about her own existence. My entry point through her case was that she is not, she is not ready to, she is not complaining. That means somewhere down the line, subconsciously, if she would have come to us at a later stage, if this would have progressed, then probably this would have gone into a condition of a death. I hope everybody is understanding. There is a stage. There is a stage which it goes. So if she would have come probably at a later stage, she would have gone into a frank autoimmune condition, and where she would have directly gone into a death. So maybe probably she would have tried to commit a suicide, or typical that dead desires and dead conviction of. But she was not anchoring. She was not going towards the death phase. Actually, she was more concerned about her about her existence. So the rubric was chosen was on the basis of existence. But existence what? Existence what? There is a story in Arabian Nights. एक जादूगर की जान टोटे में अटकी होती है. If you crush the parrot, this will die. The jadugar is going to die. So her entire existence was inside the property. I hope you are getting me. Sure? Existence. मेरी life, मेरी situation, property में ही है. Everything is property for me. If I don't get the property, I am doomed. If I don't get the property, I will die. What is the remedy? This was for some 92. Again, if the disease is of a rapid course and of a serious character, admit no delay. The physician must content himself with observing the morbid condition and hence demands prompt and efficient aid. And thus, by tracing out the complete picture of the disease, he will be enabled to compact it with a suitable homeopathic remedy so that the patient shall not fall a sacrifice to the injurious drugs he has swallowed. This holds to such an extent, of course, the disposition in aphorism 212, where he's talking about the disposition. 153, again, more striking, singular, uncommon, peculiar signs and symptoms of the cases of the disease are chiefly and most solely to be kept in view. Rubric was delusion, person existed in another person, she is, and remedy given was pyrogenum 200 single dose. Existence, existed. Thank you. The idea of this case again comes from Sir's case of SCPH plus, which he had showed on stage. If I remember correctly, it was a case of carcinoma of the lungs, where they had a similar condition where I think the father had a flour mill or an pushtani, right? Am I right? Good memory I have. And the child was on the verge of selling that flour mill, And the father was so attached that the mere thought of selling it would create a sense of panic. And he had multiple loads from the apex to the sternum to the, they had multiple loads. And that is where from the sir had went that ki is bande ki jaan, ये तोते की, इस जादूगर की जान तोते में अटकी हुई है. So existence, your existence is dependent on someone. To put it in a short way, your existence is dependent on someone. Highest form of syphilis. I think we have studied. If not, in SCPH we'll be taught existence is the top, life, existence, and then hierarchy comes. So your existence is always on the top. So luckily for me that she gave a very, very clear-cut symptom, and because of Sir's help and Dr. Hahnemann's help, you would have been able to get it out. Thank you so much. And again, Sir has treated my relative also with pyrogen, one case, blindness. So inspiration can come from anywhere. So these two cases were highly inspiration, and the rest is history. Deep-seated. And there was one more case of, I think, vitiligo case of a film producer. I think he was, I forgot the rubric. He used to wear a wig, and he used to get a lot of burning on the scalp. I forgot the rubric. Delusion body parts many. Delusion arms. So I think Sir's interpretation was that, yeah, so in pyrogenum there is an acute phase. Sorry sir, correct me if I'm wrong. Delusion of wealth. Delusion of wealth. So in psoric condition, what the books have given us, it's an acute syphilitic fever, which is not relieved by any medications. A syphilitic picture and a psychotic picture. What sir, from that case I understood is a money-minded remedy. Pyrogen also comes under money-minded, also comes under business-minded. And a very peculiar thing of pyrogen is that it will try to put money in different businesses, right, sir? It will try to put money in different businesses, not out of insecurity, not out of money-mindedness, but out of that typical mentality of fastness, hurriedness, that it will try to put money in multiple businesses. So again, for her, the property, the money thing came back. So everything, once you get the right simillimum and the rubric, and then everything falls into place. So you got in one case 3 pyrogen cases. Ek pe 3. So thank you so much. The next speaker, please.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Dr. Dhiraj sir. That was a very learning session for all of us.